Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Love of Biology. Today we are going to learn about a kingdom fungi. So these are the heterotrophic organisms and these are present everywhere. So these are the cosmopolitans, occur in air, water, soil and also parasites. They live on the animals and the plants. Okay, structure, if you compare the structure, fungi are the filamentous ones, long thread-like structures except the yeast because it is a unicellular one. So these bodies consist of long, slender, thread-like structures. We call it as a hyphae. And the network of hyphae, we call it as mycelium. Some hyphae are continuous tubes filled with the cytoplasm. So that means in between the two cells there is no cross wall, that is septa is absent. So in those cells the multinucleated cytoplasm is present. That means because septa is absent, so there is no cross wall, so all the nuclei present in the tube like structure, so it is called as the cenocytic hyphae. So this is the hyphal structure. So next others which have the cross wall or the septa which will have the only single nucleus, so they will contain. So if you see this, the hypha which bears at the tip region, it contains a sporangium. Inside the spores are present. They may be sexual or asexual. So spore formation will be there. So this is a normal structure, and the cell walls, they are made up of chitin and the polysaccharide. These are eukaryotes, so they will have a eukaryotic cell as well as a cell wall is made up of a chitin, that is a polysaccharide. Nutrition, coming to these things, these are the heterotrophs, already we discussed that, and they will depend upon the dead organic matter. That means saprophytic nutrition, and as well as they cause the diseases and they depend upon other organisms, so it is a parasitic. It is also a symbiont, that is in association with the algae as lichens, and also with the higher roots, that is a mycorrhizal relationship. Okay, so these are the nutrition types, and next reproduction. So it will undergo vegetative, asexual, and the sexual reproduction will undergo. Vegetative means fragmentation, fission, budding, like in the yeast, it will take place. Asexual reproduction takes place by the spores, called as conidial or the sporangiospores. These are the non-motile ones, whereas the zoospore, other one is a zoospore. Zoospore is a motile one. That means that it will have the flagella. Next is sexual reproduction. It takes place by the oospores, ascospores, and the basidiospores based on the type of the fungi. So the spores are different types. Okay, the various spores produced in the different structures, we call them as a fruiting bodies or the sporangiophores we call. Okay, the sexual cycle, it involves the following steps. Plasmogamy. So here plasma means a fluid, that is a cytoplasm or the protoplasm, nothing but that. And a gamy here is the fusion, right? So here fusion of the protoplasm between the two motile or the non-motile gametes or the hyphae. Okay, they will fuse together and they will exchange the genetic materials, and this is one type of the step which involved in the sexual reproduction. And next step is the karyogamy. Karyo here means the nucleus and gamy is a fusion. So if the hyphae or the gametes, they will come together, what happens, their nucleus will fuses to form a zygote, right? So if this fusion does not take place, if the karyogamy does not take place, what happens, in a single cell two nucleus are present. So two nucleus means dikaryon. Di means two, karyon is a nucleus. And next one is a meiosis. So after fusion of these things, the zygote will be produced and it will undergo the meiosis, and it will produce, after meiosis, 4 haploid spores they will produce, right? So when a fungus reproduces sexually, 2 haploid hyphae of the compatible mating will takes place. Next, coming to the classification of the fungi, there are 4 classes. First one is the Phycomycetes. It is the algal fungi, common name, which is important one. And these are the aquatic ones, and they live in the decaying wood in the moist areas. So the mycelium here, it is a aseptate one. That is a cenocytic. Without any septa, it is present. And asexual reproduction takes place by a motile spores, nothing but the zoospores, as well as non-motile, that is aplanospores. These spores are endogenous, that is inside the sporangium they are present. Special structures, they are absent. Okay, so zygospores or the zygotes are formed by the fusion of the two gametes. These zygotes are similar in the morphology. If they are similar, the gametes are similar, we call it as isogamous, or if they are dissimilar, we call it as a anisogamous. So whatever it takes place. And examples, let us see. Mucorrhizopus, which are the bread mold. On the bread, which is a spoiled one, it contains a black colored mold. So nothing but the rhizopus, and albugo, which is a parasitic fungi on the mustard leaves. On the mustard leaves, this albuga will develop. So these are the parasitic ones. Okay, parasitic organisms. Next, this is about the phycomycetes. Here, the common name is very important one. Okay, next one is the Ascomycetes. Ascomycetes, they are the sac fungi. So, which are multicellular ones, and here yeast is present, except that remaining all are the multicellular, and mycelium is also septate and branched. Asexual spores are conidia and exogenous, that is, they will produce on the conidiophores. Sexual reproduction takes place by the ascospores, which are produced endogenously in a sac-like structure. So, that's why we are calling it as a sac fungi. Asci we call. Okay, and the fruiting bodies are called as ascocarps. Sorry. So examples are neurospora, which is very important in the biochemical reactions, and Saccharomyces, Aspergillus, Penicillium. All this comes under the example. Penicillin. Okay, next one is the Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes commonly we call it as a mushrooms, bracket fungi, puff fungi. So these are edible ones are present, right? These grow in the soil, on the tree logs, on the tree stumps, and in the other living plant bodies, or as a parasites they are present, which will cause the rust and the smut. The mycelium is the branched and septate. The sexual spores they are absent here. In this, vegetative reproduction takes place by the fragmentation. Special sexual organs are absent. Then how it will reproduce? By the plasmogamy, karyogamy, and meiosis. After meiosis, they will produce the four basidiospores, which are exogenous. That is, basidium, fruiting body is present, basidiocarp. Example is agaricus, normal edible mushroom. This is, and astilago, pasinia. So these are the rust and the smut fungus, which which are the parasitic ones. On the other organisms. And the last type is the imperfect fungi, that is the deuteromycetes. This is imperfect because first when they identified that, they found only the asexual or the vegetative phases of this fungi. Later they discovered the sexual forms also. That's why they moved here into the classes they rightly belong to. Okay, the deuteromycetes reproduce only by the asexual spores. So that is the non-motile asexual spores, conidial spores. The mycelium here, it is septate as well as a branched one. Some members, some of the deuteromycetes, they are the saprophytes or the parasites, while a large number of them are the decomposers. Okay, of the litter, helps in the mineral cycling. So because decomposers, they will depend and they will help in the mineral cycling. So example, alternaria, colitotrichum, trichoderma. So these are the examples. If you observe the sugar cane after some time, after few days, it will turns into the red color. If you break it into small pieces, you will find the red colored one, that is due to the deuteromycetes. So thank you. If you have subscribe